Hey, so as I was saying before I got so rudely interrupted, fake degrees are not a new phenomenon, but we got to talk about it because the rabbit hole goes way deeper than you might think. I set out to research this topic over 2 months ago now and stumbled across one of the most flagrant examples of academic fraud I've ever seen, then made a video about it. That turned into Drake versus Kendrick ATL edition. That's done. Now I want to zoom out and explore the forest, not the trees. I want to start with a story about my academic experience to help build this narrative on something real. I promise it has a payoff at the end. Stick with me. I had a very specific talent throughout grade school words. That came from reading more books than anyone I knew. I was that kid bringing 3 books back to the library just to pick up 4 more. I was also the kid who was so bored in class due to how slow paced the lessons were that I became a class clown. The key difference between me and other class clowns I saw in movies was that I was also the main one answering the teacher's questions. What the hell does a school do with a smart ass disturbance? Gifted and talented classes. Those led to honors classes, AP courses, etc. You're probably already thinking to yourself, Cam is over here bragging about grade school accomplishments in his 30s. Hold tight, the plot twist is coming. The last bright spot in my short academic journey was the SAT. Without doing a single practice test, I got a perfect score on the reading SAT and almost perfect on the writing portion. I was just above average in math. Those scores were good enough to have hella colleges reaching out to me. And at 17, I had no idea where the hell I wanted to go or what I wanted to do with my life. Notre Dame came calling, but that presentation was far too white and the Northeast looked far too cold. I didn't want to stay in Orlando or anywhere near Central Florida like most of my classmates did. And the next college I considered was right here in the ATL. GT is a PWI, but it's surrounded by some of the most famous HBCUs in the country. The moment I saw the welcome committee of black students they rolled out specifically for us, I was sold. Georgia Tech was and is one of the best engineering colleges in the country as well. And even though I didn't really know what I wanted to do, it was hard to imagine getting a stronger foundation than that. It turned out to be the best and worst decision of my life. When it comes to difficulty level, the transition from freshman to sophomore year at GT weeds people out. I've already detailed how being hazed led to academic probation in a dedicated video. And now we've arrived at the point of this story. Georgia Tech humbled me. It was the first time in my life that I'd ever felt stupid. Y'all ever walked out of a lecture hall after a big test, looked up at the sky, and realized you weren't smart? And of course, I am smart. I just majored in industrial engineering when I should have been an English major or something. Long story short, I split the difference and switched majors to marketing. I discovered poetry in college, hip hop, then videography, and that brought me to you. Story over. And the point of it was this: there's one degree on my wall, and it's very real. It cost me an absolutely ridiculous amount of money. It's responsible for most of my early corporate career. And there's an absolute epidemic of grifters, scammers, news pundits, federal employees, engineers, nurses, and more with fake credentials, fake certificates, and fake degrees from degree mills. These degree mills are accredited by fake accreditation agencies. And most importantly, you're not above falling for the scheme if you aren't careful and don't know what to look for. So here's what to look for. After, I'll show you all how to protect yourself from scams and spam with today's sponsor, Aura. This will be really quick. All right, so usually I'm a laptop guy and I'm using Aura in the full desktop setup, but sometimes I don't feel like doing all that, so I can use the app. The coolest thing about that is there's features on the phone version that you can't get on the desktop. Stuff like call protection and message protection. This is my first time walking through this, so we're doing it together. It doesn't just tell you to activate call protection. It shows you the steps on how to do so, and it takes you directly to the menu that you need to use. All I gotta do is decide whether I want to enable these features or not. And it gives you a full breakdown under each one, telling you exactly what it's able to do. To me, the dopest part of this whole feature set is that you can report spam so that the system gets better over time. And once it's active, I can manually report phone numbers to Aura. So it's like, oh, that one got through. Make sure that doesn't happen next time. But it's not gonna hit the same unless you try it for yourself. Use my link or .com/CamJames and get 2 weeks free. The Morrill Land Grant Act spurred the founding of many new colleges back in the 19th century, which created a market for degrees. Frauds moved into that space to meet that demand. The first documented reference to the phrase degree mill was from John Eaton, a U.S. Commissioner of Education. He called them, quote, a disgrace to American education. After the GI Bill, aka Servicemen's Readjustment Act of 1944, opened up educational opportunities for World War II vets, even more degree mills popped up. When Congress created a similar bill for Korean War vets, they included a provision that required institutions to meet standards of quality as defined by accreditation agencies in order to receive aid. This requirement is still in effect. As expected, this created an accreditation mill issue, where fake accreditation agencies were being invented by fake colleges. Those confused potential victims by mixing real agencies in with fake ones and using very specific academic language, which was lifted from the sites and guidelines of the real agencies. There was a study conducted by the Government Accountability Office, or the GAO, in 2003, and it examined federal employees' degrees. They found that 463 federal employees had degrees from 3 alleged degree mills, with 28 senior level employees in 8 agencies having those degrees. These numbers were assumed to be greatly understated. Some of them offer degrees in fields such as nursing, nutrition, electrical and mechanical engineering, biochemistry, and accounting at significant risk to the public. That's exactly why this conversation matters. There's a lot of things that jump out at you if you visit the site of a diploma mill, but sometimes they're much more incognito than you'd expect. Here's a quick rundown of the ways they differ from the real thing. Number 1, they straight up sell a degree or a transcript from a legitimate school. This one's rare because these types of scams can't operate for long. They also can't attain any real scale, which ensures the owners have a ceiling on their potential profits. Number 2, they promise a degree in a short period of time, sometimes as little as 5 days. Now, some legitimate institutions promise expedited degrees via specialized programs, but only when students have completed a large amount of previous work at prior universities, with suitable documentation of those credits. Number 3, some look at an applicant's life experience and award degrees based on a description of it. These degrees share DNA with a traditional honorary degree you see celebrities getting from reputable colleges. Legitimate institutions will require extensive documentation and/or social proof to demonstrate the correlation between their experience and the courses they're seeking credit for, at the very least. Number 4, other diploma mills require students to submit papers or assignments, albeit much less than a legitimate institution would. This is the most common form I've seen in my research, but in reality, most diploma mills seem to be using a combination of these models. The most recent web of fake schools I looked into had one central figure behind their infrastructure, but a viewer sent me evidence of the mother of all diploma mills, one that everyone's favorite scammers and grifters got their PhDs and masters from: Higher Place Christian University. This site has all the hallmarks of a grift that's just sophisticated enough to trick someone who isn't paying attention. This banner image is obviously AI, and Higher Place University doesn't have a physical campus. So where the hell are they? They're founded in Florida for a reason. When we looked into Rashad Ritchie's St. Magnus University, that college was also founded in Florida as a religious institution. Florida has loose regulations for every type of scam you can think of, including higher education. The Christian angle on this diploma mill is what opens the doors to a license to fleece people in peace. Here's Dr. Faith Abraham, the vice president of HPCU. The similarity to HBCU isn't an accident. Their primary target customers are Black people.
Hi, I'm Dr. Faith Abraham, president of Higher Place Christian University. I'm so glad that you're here today. You know, we've been established since 2010. bringing education that prepares you for success. Here at Higher Place Christian University, a highly accredited Christian-based university.
She shouldn't have said highly accredited. That's a dead giveaway. Either you're accredited or you're not. It's like being pregnant.
We offer a plethora of degrees for you to achieve your dreams and your goals, such as bachelor's degrees, master's, and even doctorates. We also offer various certifications in different fields to propel you forward.
We'll check out their accreditation next. First, I got to get through this whole page to reach that section. And there's a whole lot to talk about here. Another AI image. What the hell does that book say? I've never heard of a full gospel interdenominational university before, so I looked it up. Turns out that's the name of a small church in Connecticut. Don't think there's a connection there, but I can't find what else that phrase would even mean. I'm gonna go ahead and label that word salad, and there's plenty more where that came from. They claim that admission is very competitive, that they provide a high level of education, and that they have world-class distinguished faculty. We'll see about that. Okay, accreditation. Higher Place Christian University claims accreditation by the Florida State Board of Independent Colleges and Universities, or the SBICU. After looking that agency up, it all starts to fall apart. The SBICU doesn't even have a formal website, just a mention in an attorney general's legal memo from 1981. So this is not an agency as much as it is a legal loophole, allowing private universities to claim accreditation as long as they're religious.
The experience was amazing with a busy, hectic schedule as being a pastor, entrepreneur. The schedule worked out for me very well. I got the opportunity to do the work at my pace and also get opportunity to really get the feedback that I needed from the instructional team to help me continue to achieve. They didn't give up on me basically, and I didn't give up on myself as well. So it was really good. It was really organic to my lifestyle and how the pace of it was set to achieve the next level that I was believing God for.
They make it super clear that they're not claiming to be offering the same quality of education as secular colleges and universities, so non-religious. And they also make it clear that they're not affiliated with the state of Florida or Department of Education, leaning real hard on that Christian in their name. They claim it's because they want to, quote, maintain their religious prerogatives and freedom to compose courses and design degree programs that are in accordance with their biblical convictions and beliefs, end quote. Their next claim is that they're accredited by Christian College Accreditation Commission International, but not before making it clear that this agency also hasn't sought recognition by the Department of Education. They got all their legal bases covered. You know they have high standards because they bolded it. What more proof do you need? Yada, yada, more nonsense about the types of schools they run. This is what I want y'all to pay attention to. Quote, we also help individuals start and run their own profitable Christian-based online schools, colleges, and institutions. So this organization exists to copy and paste new businesses like Higher Place that take advantage of the grip religion has on everyone to milk the public and give everybody a doctor in front of their name. This joint is a gold mine of bullshit word salad with very obvious business translations underneath. One example, we are a membership-based association. However, we do not infringe upon your right to operate your school in the way and manner that the Lord leads you. I might throw up in my mouth. I get a lot of shit on this channel for dunking on religious people, but if y'all don't see how religion is used to prop up billion-dollar fraud industries by watching these videos, I don't know if you'll ever see it. They literally typed out, a student who earns their master's degree from your school and transfers to another CCACI member school is recognized as having completed the requirements for that master's degree. So these con artists get to hop from one school to another, stack their fake degrees on top of one another, and come out of it with the whole alphabet after their name. They specifically call out Higher Place at the bottom and specify in their purpose statement that every degree needs to have, quote, Christian in the name to make sure they don't get in legal trouble. Watch this. When I click on apply for accreditation, Uyi Abraham's name shows up with a Vonza form. This is a business he started, and that's a Google form. This is not how accreditation works. Back to the site. We've covered how improper grammar, misspellings, and weird copy are intentional ways to capture potential marks for scams. Even when it isn't intentional, it tells you everything you need to know about the scheme, because this is supposed to be a university offering master's and doctoral degrees. Listen to this copy on the tail end of this mission statement. HPCU's mission is to prepare students academically, spiritually, and professionally to fulfill their life purpose and take their world to a higher place for God. What does that mean? They call themselves unique, non traditional, and different within the span of a couple sentences. Even though this uniqueness is just the concept of taking classes over the internet. That was unique when I was in diapers. This is a pretty crucial detail. There's no class schedules, which means there's no teachers. Y'all giving up the game at this point. If students can just start courses at any time, you don't have any kind of world-class faculty. Faculty have research, busy schedules, and other obligations that require fixed semesters. This brings me to the last stop on our tour of the most transparent degree mill scam I've ever seen. Here's a bio for the founders. HPCU is what happens when a course-selling grifter meets a life coach, and they activate their Wonder Twin powers to create an entire ecosystem facilitating everyone else's grift. If you don't believe me on the impact side, I kept the best part for last. Let's take a look at their alumni and pay attention to the professions they claim expertise in. That's especially crucial here. Some of these people are generic course sellers, and some seem to just want these degrees to add credibility for social media. But others are dragging literal lawsuits behind them and specifically want to use these degrees to trick victims. Myron Golden, I covered him last year, and he's used his fake doctorate to attain internet clout and sell courses and programs to other grifters. Courtney Epps, she's apparently the professional accounting and tax specialist. You'll notice a lot of these people have nicknames like wrestlers because everyone needs a personal brand on Instagram. Her Yelp reviews for her tax business, OTB Tax, truly speak for themselves. Every real person she's ever worked with has had nothing but terrible experiences. 1 stars all the way down. David Emaniti, I've heard about him in other scam videos. His supervillain name is Mr. Believe. There's a FTC complaint alleging he was paid $30 million based on illegal earnings claims from his days with the pyramid scheme iMarkets Live. Y'all remember that one? It goes by Iovia now. And there was a program claiming to have an automated crypto trading algorithm, among other things.
Everything that you want is already here. You just have to learn how to get yourself on the right frequency.
He's running a new scheme called Envision You now. Thanks to HPCU, he's calling himself a doctor. The claim that he's changed thousands of lives is definitely true, just not in the way you think it is. Apostle Uziel Gerardo, created Legacy Church International. He also has a personal logo. Those are my favorite kinds of pastors, personally, the ones with a trademarked brand. Look, I'm not here to launch a full investigation into a church, but a lot of y'all already know I have an immense amount of skepticism for large, entertainment-focused churches. Maybe it's legit, and he just wanted a religious degree to add legitimacy. Doesn't make sense if it's a scam college, but Alicia Lachelle Harney is the empowerment specialist.
I'm grateful that I'm able to take what I do, both in prophetically empowering people in their purpose, personally, and even professionally to the next level. Thank you so much, Doctors Abraham and Higher Place Christian University, for this experience.
Andre Gaskin is the king of increase. Joshua Lufa, who I've seen before on Myron Golden's course sites, is a member of the Options Snipers. We've talked about them before, a trading group selling courses and mentoring to Black people as their primary revenue driver. Sarah Fontenot.
What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of It's Giving. I am your host, Sarah Fontenot, and if you have not yet,
please, for the love of God, hit that button below and get subscribed.
Runs the It's Giving podcast, where she yaps about relationships and high-value men for a living. You get it. None of them are actually doctors. None of them are actually using that doctoral degree in their profession or religious calling, except for Uziel. Myron runs a religious YouTube channel, but he's primarily using that to grift off his viewers based on my research. All these people turn to a scammer who just happens to be Nigerian and his wife to add fake legitimacy to their real businesses.
So Higher Place Christian University is fast track, it's flexible. We have scholarships available.
Since when? Y'all got payment plans.
And also too, you can do it at your own time, and you can finish and have a degree, faster than traditional school, but at the same time getting quality Christian education that will prepare you for success. So I want you to go right now to our website, which is myhigherplace.com, which is www.myhigherplace.com, and register and enroll for bachelor's degree, master's degree, and of course, doctorate degree.
I'm not here to bag on a bunch of black people unfairly. I'm here to use several black people who aren't great examples of ethical business practices to bag on two black scammers who need to be held accountable. Let's not forget this whole section on the bottom of his school's website with quote unquote approved courses and certifications. And they're all just a bunch of scammy courses created by Uyi Abraham himself or Uyi and his wife together. There's a bunch of other grifters I recognize from all over the internet. I don't know if y'all ever spotted this, but scammers have an affinity for the number 7. I called this out way back in my video about Myron. It's always $97 or $1,997 or something like that. It's some kind of Jedi mind trick they try to play on their customers. Higher Place Christian University is a diploma mill designed to enrich two people, which has had the side effect of further validating dozens of grifters who then drain the financial resources from all of us. I want us to collectively do better, and we will not be able to do that as long as these leeches are in business. Y'all got the information now. Can't say I ain't tell you. Look, I've been making video essays since Christmas of 2023, and in a little over 2 years, I've been wrong plenty of times. I usually acknowledge it by replying in the comment section or by adding it to the pinned comment. Most importantly, I try not to make the same mistakes twice. I've only made a video or whole chapter about being wrong one time, though. Here's time number 2. In my FUBU Scammer Red Flag Starter Pack video I made a couple months ago, I dropped a throwaway line about Capella University, which is where the grifter Dr. Sanja Stribling got her doctorate from. I say doctor loosely once again, since her PhD is from Capella University, a for-profit diploma mill that was named in a class action lawsuit with top-tier colleges like DeVry. Called it a diploma mill, and that isn't technically true. I know this because I spoke to John Van Geest, a former Capella University employee, who emailed me specifically to tell me I was wrong and to offer more info on the topic. A little background. Capella University settled a class action lawsuit in 2022 that was brought by former students in 2018. The students claimed that Capella misled them about the time it takes to earn a doctoral degree, as well as the cost and graduation rate. Their attorney, Paul Lesko, said the programs, quote, were designed to last considerably longer so Capella could maximize the extraction of tuition payments, end quote. Capella had to settle because their recruiting emails were definitely lying, talking about how typical or average students complete the program in a certain amount of time, when in reality, most of their students don't graduate at all. Now, let's get the inside perspective. Just so y'all know, my audio got messed up when I was talking to John, so it's mostly going to be him talking, but I'll pop in every now and then to keep the convo flowing.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I'll say is Capella University is a real college. Like if I took classes there. They are not easy. If you go there, you are earning your degree. Like it is some hard ass coursework. They definitely want to make you earn it. That being said, the students are the product in a way that I think is a little bit different from a typical university you'd think of like a state university, or, if you're talking about like a Harvard or a Yale, where it's not just that students' success that is the important thing for that university. It's also the numbers on a piece of paper. And so when you incentivize enrollment in student numbers over actually getting those folks set up for not only short-term but long-term success in their education, and in particular their funding, because realistically that's how you keep the lights on with any business, is that you have to have money coming in. That's where you start to really lose the forest for the trees, and you create really terrible situations for folks. Like, you can get through a for-profit university like Capella, get an amazing degree, and have everything great as long as everything goes well for you. If at any point there are breaks in that process, you're going to fall down this fucking rabbit hole that you might not have any kind of an idea about. Whether or not you get an actual explanation as to what's going on and know someone who knows how to fix it is iffy, and it may just force you out of that college. And it happens with a lot of these for-profit universities. It's really easy to earn a balance at these schools and not be able to continue and have little to no idea why that happened. Sometimes it's not even your fault, period. It could just be some weird system thing. And now you end up with this huge balance.
Yeah, so after we talked about that, we pivoted to the University of Phoenix. They also got sued, class action lawsuit and everything. What did they do? They relied on deceptive advertising to attract students. Specifically, they claimed to work with Microsoft, Twitter, Adobe, and Yahoo to create job opportunities. That's just one of many lawsuits they've had to deal with. They've been around since forever.
Yeah, University of Phoenix is kind of the name in big for-profit, like predatory ass, but we're still kind of in business universities. Like there have been other ones. I mean, you know, I'm in Minnesota, and a big one that we had here was Globe College. Like, they got completely shut down by the Department of Education because they were selling people on taking law enforcement programs that weren't accredited and couldn't actually get you into law enforcement. Like, you'd blow $40,000 on student loans to be a security guard. A lot of people were upset with that.
That's trash. Like, I got my degree. It cost me a lot, but at least it enabled me to get jobs after I graduated that reflected the quality of that work and the time I put in. I couldn't imagine if a school lied to me and said I could do all these things and I end up being a security guard instead of going into law enforcement. I don't know why I'd want to get into law enforcement in the first place, but if I did, we're doing hypotheticals.
None of this stuff is actively malicious. I think it comes down to a larger, it's just a bigger factor of the late stage capitalism that we're in. Capella is, and now because Capella merged with Strayer a number of years back, Strayer is another for-profit university that primarily focuses in undergraduate stuff, although they do have the Jack Welch School of Business. Strayer and Capella combined into Strategic Education Incorporated a number of years back, and that's a publicly traded company. So you have shareholders, and that's when the game becomes, we want to do whatever we can to have our numbers be good so that the shareholders are happy and our stock prices at the very least stay exactly the same, but ideally go up, because it's all, in capitalism, it's always about increased profits every quarter. And so when that's the name of the game, the students being successful is great, but what you're really looking for is those numbers. It's just about those numbers. And so then you're really pushing enrollment for every academic quarter, trying to get as many people in as possible. Are those people really ready to go to school? Maybe, who knows, but you've got enrollment counselors that are really pressuring them and getting them to do that. But more importantly, if you want to have processes in place for the folks that aren't really ready to go to school, so that one, they don't earn a balance that is going to prevent them from moving forward. But two, you don't end up with people owing you money for a service that you were providing that they can't pay. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. Like, companies aren't just going out lending things out to people in the hopes that they'll pay them back, seeing whether or not that's, your bottom line would fall out. Like, you'd close your doors very quickly. So with a lot of schools, and I'm guessing where you graduated from is the way that they handle it was super simple. Cash up front, or you've got all your financial aid stuff figured out and you can't register for your course. Capella and a lot of online universities don't do that. What they'll have is an enrollment cancellation period. So you can actually start your class and be in it for a period of time while you're working on getting stuff figured out, deciding what kind of financing you want to do. And then if you hit this deadline, ideally you're supposed to get dropped from that class. I should say on the Capella side, you get dropped from that class for a full refund. So you don't owe any money. You don't get to continue. You can always retry for a new start date. But because enrollment numbers aren't reported until after they get past that point, you have this really interesting dichotomy within Capella of the people who are trying to protect the company and the students by making sure that if you don't have all of your ducks in a row, that you you get dropped, you get more time to figure stuff out or decide if this is right for you. And then you have the folks on the enrollment side who have been tasked with trying to get as many of these people as possible beyond that finish line. And not just the right way, by whatever means possible.